Let's do this one. Steroids are awesome by friend of the show,
The problem with steroids is that they work. Like
Jeff Nippard. I love this because, as you guys know, Jeff is natty. He's a natty batty. So am I. And you know, he is a steroid appreciator, it seems, at least in this video. We also have the same T levels, as I found out from this video results. So that's pretty cool. I thought my T levels were too low. Well, they're just average. Anyway.
really work. That's probably irresponsible for me to say, but if we're going to talk about the steroid epidemic, we need to do it honestly.
Here's a 3-week trend cycle update for you guys.
Volume trend in Thailand.
Steroids build muscle way faster than something like creatine. It's not even close. If you started taking 5 grams of creatine every day for a year...
So when you take hairline steroids, I take the opposite of steroids. I take a testosterone blocker. It's literally the opposite. Like, I'm nerfing my T levels.
Straight, you'd add about 2 pounds of extra muscle. If you started taking steroids at a normal bodybuilding dose, you'd probably add about...
I fucking love creatine, though. It is honestly the best thing on the planet. Oh, God. I fucking love creatine. I will ride or die for creatine all day, every day. Many of you have noticed how much my body composition has changed over the past couple of months. And I think it literally is directly a result of me just consistently taking creatine. Oh, anyway, it's a DHT blocker. It actually ups your testosterone, at least in the short term. I don't think it does.
20 pounds of extra muscle that year, but it could be more depending on your genetics and how much you take. I'm a lifetime natural bodybuilder, and these are my testosterone levels right now. 485 nanograms per deciliter.
Mine is literally right there.
The normal range for someone my age. This is bodybuilder Chase Irons, the world's most honest, enhanced bodybuilder. He also had blood work done this month. Where do you think his testosterone levels are? Maybe double mine or triple mine? Nope. His levels are literally off the charts.
Okay, that's it. I'm doing steroids. Oh my fucking God! Bro! Oh my God! Oh, I want that. I want that so bad. What? I don't even know what I would do. Dude, I would literally be so unimaginably out of control, dude. I would fuck holes in walls, I think. No, I can't do that. Oh my, I would be a fucking menace. My hairline is gone. I'd be so fucking angry all the time.
The test maxes out at 10,000 nanograms per deciliter, and his testosterone was higher than that. He openly admits to taking a lot of gear, and this shows just how big the gap between natural and enhanced can get. More people are taking steroids now than ever before. Why is that? Well, I think it's because more and more fitness influencers are opening up about their anabolic use. In theory, this honesty is a good thing. That's because anyone watching would be able to adjust their own expectations for their goals. If they're natural and they know they're...
Yeah, that shit is so... I mean, I've always thought it was like super whack that people just like lie about taking steroids. And there are still people that lie about taking steroids. Like, it is something that you have to comprehend. Like it's just not like when you see a gorilla, okay, that is approximately like 20, 30 pounds overweight, sitting at 6%, 7% body fat, the likelihood that they are on gear is so high. Okay? Trap development is another good indicator. Like muscles that normally would not become ginormous because it's just not activating at all under normal circumstances, that just magically balloon, right? Like there are some telltale signs. There is obviously no one perfect scenario. There is no one perfect scenario because like it's all, there's still, like when you look at Nick the Mutant, right? Or when you look at some of these other like legendary bodybuilders, like the levels that they get to, they don't just get to with steroids. They get there because they are also naturally, like they have a like a reaction, like because due to their genetics, they have a better reaction to steroids due to their fucking genetics. You're never going to get to that level. Most people will never get to that level, even if they do take steroids, right? If they look like a smaller person piloting a hypermuscular flesh mecha, they're on gear. Yeah, there are hyper responders. There's also the genetic predisposition, people that like respond really well to steroids. But then beyond that, there's also your like musculature. Like a lot of those guys, if you look at like natty builds of like legendary bodybuilders when they're like 18, 19, before they ever took steroids, when they're in high school, you'll notice that they're fucking yacked even in high school. Like there's rarely ever a transformation that looks like this and then goes to this. You never actually see that. In most circumstances, these dudes are already insane. Like they already look like absolute fucking freaks, and then they take steroids and it's just like it's Jover. Anyway, let's continue.
Their favorite fitness influencer isn't, they'd be able to lower their own standards and say, okay, well, now I know that result isn't achievable for me. But this kind of backfired. A lot of people didn't lower their expectations, they just started taking steroids. And the bigger problem is, a lot of fitness influencers are only ever partially transparent. They say they're on steroids, and they show their gains, but they rarely, if ever, show any of the bad stuff. So the only logical conclusion is that steroids are amazing. But that's misleading. So to help you understand exactly what happens to your body when you take steroids, let's inject some juice together and see what happens next. Good and bad. This is testosterone enanthate. It's one of the most common forms of steroids that people take. It's basically just a testosterone molecule with a carboxyl group attached and dissolved in a vegetable oil so you can inject it. There's also some kind of aromatic compound like benzoyl benzoate in here, which prevents bacterial growth and helps the testosterone dissolve better. When you inject the needle into your muscle, a bubble of oil is squeezed in between the individual muscle fibers, which spreads out and forms this elongated shape. The testosterone molecules then slowly make their way into the bloodstream over the course of several hours.
Wait, is he no longer natty? It's got to be a meme, right? He's
enzymes
debating.
Called esterases cleave off that carboxyl group, and then the testosterone is carried by molecules called binding proteins to the muscle, where it enters a single muscle cell. Now its job is to make that muscle cell bigger. And if that's all that steroids did, that'd be sweet, and I'd be on them. But there's a lot more that happens. For one, your heart is also a muscle. So, of course, the same thing happens there. The testosterone enters your heart cells and tells your DNA to make your heart bigger. Having a big heart sounds like a good thing, but it's really not. When your heart grows, especially one compartment called the left ventricle, the extra bulk actually makes it harder for your heart to squeeze and relax. This means your heart won't be able to pump blood as effectively, which increases your risk of heart failure. Now, I want to say, I'm not the health police. You can do whatever you want with your own.
Bradley Martin 3 image comparison was in the middle before the gear. I don't think so. I think he was already on gear at that point. I can't recall. I don't remember. I think he's still on gear here. You don't normally compete at these events without being on gear unless it's like a natural bodybuilding competition. Obviously, Bradley Martin does not claim natty, by the way. Why are we fewer viewers today? Is this some other big event? No, I watched fucking basketball for 2 hours and my unimaginably nerdy fan base literally all killed themselves collectively. We went from 22K, 23K to fucking 12K because I watched basketball for 2 hours. They died. They're all dead. 10,000 chatters killed themselves. They're dead now. 100%. They perished. Some didn't even kill themselves. Some just perished. They just like imploded. Anyway, no, Bradley Martin is obviously on gear. He's never not claimed natty. We were just saying, is he on gear here or not?
own body, and I've got no problem with people who enhance. But I want people to at least be aware of exactly what you're doing and the full effect it has, good and bad. For example, not many people realize that steroids affect your brain. To explain this, I wanted to find someone with scientific education and firsthand experience with steroids.
My goat. Dr. Mike Israel, my goat.
Hey.
Can you hear me okay, Mike?
Yeah. Steroids can cause in many people really high levels of anxiety.
I love that angle. I love that angle. Dr. Mike. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ass motherfucker, bro. I swear to God.
It's dose dependent. It's also compound dependent. Things like Tren cause way more anxiety than other milder compounds like
You go down at 13K, but you haven't yelled at chatters in hours. Surely not related. I mean, it probably is related.
you know. So this is fun. I haven't admitted this yet, but it's not a particularly crazy admission. I recently took a validated, empirically validated, scientifically based scale for anxiety. And actually currently, right now, I have severe anxiety disorder. It's probably the most severe type of anxiety disorder, short of like panic disorder. And that's actually right now, as I talk, that's what I have. And another one, also another psychological side effect. Some types of your intelligence degrade over time with steroid use. This was tested in people currently using steroids and people who used to use steroids. Most people are just totally unaware that steroids have that potential effect on IQ reduction. And since IQ or just intelligence.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. This video is convincing me that I was right to never do steroids, and I probably will never do steroids. But I do want to do TRT when I hit like 35. You know what I mean? Please react to Mike's politics. That'd be hilarious. No, it wouldn't. It would be drama, especially because he is my goat. And I said he's my goat, and I know what his politics are, and they're not great. Okay? Shut the fuck up.
This is such a global quality that you probably want to hang out to most of it as much as you have. It's a real serious thing to trade off.
And that tracks with the science. This 2021 study took 3D MRI scans of the brains of over 200 weightlifters. About half of them were natty, the other half enhanced. The scans revealed that the lifters who took steroids had a significantly bigger brain age gap. That means when they looked at the natural brains, their brain age matched their actual age.
Don't make fun of me. What's TRT? Testosterone replacement therapy, which is like steroids, but legally administered by a doctor and at much lower doses. And technically you could get it from fucking at any age if you go to the right doctor, but like usually a lot of older people do it. It's HRT for middle-aged guys. Yeah, no, it 100% is. It is gender affirming care. That is what it is, which is ironic because Joe Rogan has done it for many, many years and has advocated for it for many, many years, except he fucking no, Joe Rogan has a steroid belly because he's done more than TRT. Let's be real. Okay. I don't think that you would get the fucking bubble gut just off of TRT. Yeah, he ate spaghetti. A lot of people that say that they're only doing TRT don't just only do TRT. They're doing a lot more than TRT. Why take anything, bro? Just continue what you're doing. I don't know if you heard my caveat, which is once I'm post 35 and my T levels start declining, that's when I might do it. Yeah. TRT is way, way, way lower doses of testosterone than like what you would get from a regular dose of gear.
But the brains of the enhanced lifters looked much older than they should look for someone their age. Their brains were aging faster than they should be. And the psychology of steroids
This doesn't necessarily mean they're smarter, though. It just means it's actually the opposite, just for the chatters to understand. The greatest example I can give you is the Tren twins. Okay. If you want to know what happens with respect to mental decline, okay, they look and sound like they're 35, but they're actually like 22 years old and not like a smart 35-year-old, even though, you know, I still love that shit.
is fascinating. Most people take steroids because they want to look bigger and feel better about the way they look. And I get it, I want to look bigger and feel better too. And steroids will make you look bigger, but they might not help you feel any better about the way you look. They actually could make your body dysmorphia worse. That's because a lot of people think if they just start enhancing, then they'll look how they want. But just because you take gear doesn't mean you're going to look like sebum. And then when you eventually come off, you'll quickly lose a good chunk of the size that you put on and feel smaller than ever. At that point, it becomes near impossible not to go back on.
He's literally describing what happens to every fucking steroid user. And that is precisely how, that is the major reason why I never took it. Not because of the side effects, 'cause I'm a fucking idiot and didn't really care about the side effects all that much. This was the only reason why I didn't do it when I was younger, and definitely had the opportunity to do so, because I know how addictive of a personality I have. That's the reason. That's the same reason why I never did coke, because like I was, or have never tried any like serious drugs in general, because I have a very addictive personality, and I know that I would like literally like it too much. Same with the steroids.
Take even more steroids, and the cycle continues. Again, that wouldn't really be a problem if steroids didn't impact pretty much.
Would this happen with HGH? Of course it would happen with HGH. HGH is the worst version of this. What the fuck do you mean? Like, HGH is human growth hormone. What? Remember how we talked about your heart grows because it's a muscle? HGH grows everything. Literally everything. Even things that normally wouldn't fucking grow with steroids, they grow with HGH.
Every system in your body, but they do. After you inject, some of that testosterone is converted into a hormone called DHT, which causes hair follicles to shrink faster. This is why so many bodybuilders are bald in their 20s. Some testosterone.
By the way, that's the reason that this. So I take a DHT blocker.
Testosterone is also converted into estrogen, which can increase breast tissue formation in men, leading to soft, puffy
That guy
nipples,
died.
also known.
The guy that gynecomastia. That guy that he's showing there is dead, by the way.
Is also converted into estrogen, which can increase
This guy literally died like a year ago.
breast tissue formation in men, leading to soft, puffy nipples, also known as gyno. The most reliable way to get rid of gyno is surgery, and while most people will take other drugs to prevent that conversion to estrogen, almost every bodybuilder you know has had to deal with gyno at some point. Injecting testosterone also lets your testicles know that there's more than enough testosterone to go around, so they shrink to about 1/2 of their usual size. The shrinkage quickly shuts down your body's natural ability to make its own testosterone, which is why some people will need to inject testosterone for the rest of their life. Steroids also make sebaceous glands on your skin grow bigger, which causes them to overproduce a sticky, oily substance called sebum. Sebum moisturizes and protects your skin in normal amounts, but causes acne when overproduced. Steroid users will try to combat this by taking other drugs for acne treatment, but then they have their own side effects.
What would be a side effect that most people like wouldn't be aware of until you've kind of done it?
Yeah, it's a good question. There are a few of those I can think of. Because anabolic steroids are mostly gotten in, at least the United States and Canada, through underground laboratories, some of the gear you get is like damn near farmer grade. It goes in smooth as butter, never does anything, no inflammation. Some of the gear goes in there and boy, does it mess you up. And I have been personally hospitalized at least once for a non-infected but insanely immune responsive abscess. My quad was like 1/2 foot out to one side. I've had friends get hospitalized for abscesses. The doctors have to cut your skin open, they have to drain it. And lastly, the term roid rage, but it's really aggression. And it very infrequently displays itself as actual violent acts, but the thoughts you get on steroids are disturbing. You might like war movies and stuff, but if there's a war movie playing in your head every single second you're awake and asleep, it gets a little old after a while. But you have big muscles, so I guess that's cool. So that's how the cookie crumbles.
Let me get a second opinion on that.
Hello, hello.
Yo. A pretty common reported anecdote is feeling like you just hit puberty again. For the first 6 to 8 weeks, it literally feels like you're 16 years old again.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's probably not a good thing overall because
It's definitely a fucking good thing. Chris Benoit killed all his family, all roided out. No, dog. Chris Benoit had fucking a very famous case of CTE. That's ridiculous. Not everyone that fucking does steroids is turning into a mass murderer. That was CTE. His brain was the size of a fucking walnut by the end of it. What are you talking about? Hasan, stop influencing sheep.
Because you're now an adult with the like libido of a raging 16-year-old, and you have responsibilities and things to keep up with, and all you can think about is your perpetually erect penis, basically, which is not ideal. Increased probability of injury. This is sometimes talked about when your strength is skyrocketing. Your connective tissue cannot maintain the pace of your muscular strength, and often this will lead to unnecessary injury in the gym because, you know, if your bench goes up 50 pounds in 6 weeks, like you're not, typically you're not gonna like hold back. You're gonna keep.
Yeah, that sounds fucking awesome though.
Pushing because this weight feels like a feather now. You're gonna, you know, go as far as it can take you, but your connective tissue is not keeping up with that pace, and this you'll see often bodybuilders that end up with brutal injuries.
It's hard to say how much steroids shorten your lifespan.
Oh, the thing that I don't know if he was like actually mentioning this, but like, a big part of the problem is that like, you'll see those famous videos of like weightlifters that are obviously on steroids that fucking will like blow out their muscles in an irreparable way. Like they get genuine, torn pectoral muscle compilation type shit. Exactly. It's very, very, very unlikely that you would get to that degree of injury without steroids. Like you just don't fucking, your shit doesn't pop when you're natural. Okay. Your body is not supposed to, explode. Okay.
But they definitely do. One 2024 paper followed over 1,000 steroid users for 11 years with an average age of 27. During the same time frame, they also followed 60,000 people of the same age, but not on steroids. 2.8% of the steroid users had died by the follow-up, while only 1% of the non-steroid users had died. That's a lot of excess deaths, which led the authors to note that the excess death rate in this young adult population is striking. Of course, this depends on the dose that you're taking.
I think what a lot of people think is
crazy. I saw, what the fuck was it? I saw a study that showed like steroid deaths as like the top 10, like the top 10 as far as like substance abuse deaths, and like steroids was like in the top 10, and people thought that was actually like an own, where they were like, see, alcohol is much worse. It's like, bro, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, alcohol causes you to be inebriated, your senses shut off. Of course, like, alcohol is going to be fucking deadly. It's literally poison that you're putting in your body. They had like alcohol and heroin on there, and then steroids was like sandwiched between like methamphetamine or some shit. And like, obviously steroids being in the top 10 is genuinely terrifying. The rest of the list is fucking poison. Steroids are supposed to be good, like on principle.
I'm not going to go crazy with the juice. Like I'm just going to do a little like sports TRT or whatever, like 150, 200 milligrams a week. How do you feel about that?
I think the word TRT is very conflated with like baby cycle essentially at this point. When you're on TRT, even if it looks on paper like a normal total testosterone, it is not representative of what you could do naturally. So even if you're on like, you know, low dose TRT, on paper you could define it as such, but it's certainly like you're essentially on mini enhancement territory perpetually, which I'm not to say that that's bad, because that's almost like the boat I fall into myself essentially. It's just
he's not, no, listen up, Hasan. No, he's right, bro. What are you talking about? And also, he's not saying it's a bad thing, and he's also personally saying that like you're still, if I went on TRT, I would say that I'm on TRT. It would still be performance enhancement. Like, it would still be basically steroids. The difference is I wouldn't fucking do that unless my T levels actually declined to a certain degree where like it was necessary. Do you understand? Because it wouldn't make me become fucking monstrous or huge. It would readjust my T levels so that I'm still getting enough. I'm still producing enough testosterone that I would normally produce right now. Where do you normally inject your creatine? What? Inject your creatine?
A matter of managing the risk to reward on it, and if you feel it is worthwhile for yourself, considerate of all of the factors that underlie it.
Would you say there is a healthy way to use steroids?
So everything is a spectrum in this case. So there are healthier and less healthy ways. And if you want to use steroids in a healthier way, then what you're going to do is start with very small amounts of them, check your blood work, do various heart scans and procedures, consult with a professional coach who does this for a living, have a medical doctor on retainer to make sure that you're getting every several months or twice a year blood work. You check your blood pressure all the time. You cycle properly, coming on and off. You take as little gear as will accomplish the effect you're interested in. If you do that, you can definitely do it healthier than not. But, you know, there are ways to race a car and design a race car and design the suit and the crumple zones that make it safer. But as soon as you pass 200 miles an hour, safer is the term. It's not safe. It was never safe. And so steroid use is less safe almost always than not taking steroids, but you can make it very, very safe, or you can make it pretty roll the dice risky.
That's a lot of money. What is this bougie shit? Yeah, of course, bro. We're talking about fucking drugs. Like, what are you talking about? I do TRT and it keeps me at a high normal level, but it's synthetic and consistent, whereas a natural T fluctuates. The point of TRT is you don't have to worry about essentially any of the bad side effects of a cycle. My ball shrunk and I have back knee. That's it. Wait, fuck. TRT gives you back knee? Oh, no.
Real big decision on how you approach it.
Okay, maybe I won't do TRT then.
At like a really young age coming up to me and being like, hey, like I might hop on, like, you know, I've been training for a while now. Like,
ball shrinking, I don't give a fuck about, bro. What do you mean? Like, I'm fine. On that category, I don't give a shit about that. You know, I'm good. I'm happy. If my balls shrink a little bit, hey, listen, that's like an extra inch on the dick. You know what I'm talking about? However, back knee I do care about. Hair follicles I care about, and back knee I do care about. If I lose my hair and I get back knee, oof, I wouldn't be happy.
Teenagers, do you have like an age in mind where it's like, this is where, you know, you're old enough to even like consider it, and before that just figure out your training and diet?
Yeah, there's a couple things that go into that. One is some kinds of steroids close your growth plates early, and that means they'll prevent you from reaching an adult height. Some men don't stop growing until they're 22 years old. And if you start taking it when you're 16, you're probably going to be a short king for much longer than you anticipate. Well, actually, a shorter king than you ended up should have become with your genetics. And, you know, to almost the same group of people to whom jacked lifestyle is important, being as tall as possible is also important, seemingly. Another thing is the brain develops in very, very high level ways, well into your late 20s, and in subtle ways through your entire lifespan. And so until about your mid-20s, I would say there's a high probability that steroids will stunt your brain development to a significant extent. And so I would say my cutoff age generally, as the conversation for responsible medically supervised steroid use for serious goals by a serious individual, begins at age 25.
The answer I usually give is like get at least 10 years of natural training under your belt, because you'll have figured out what works for your body. And then from there...
Well, I've done all of that. And I'm fucking 32, about to be 33. I'm just saying I got 2 more years until I fucking inject that sweet, sweet testosterone replacement therapy into my veins. If, I do have a caveat, if and only if I start experiencing lower T levels. A lot of you, once again, missed the major point of this video. Dr. Mike Israetel talked about that specifically. You think TRT, especially at very low levels, especially when your T levels start declining, will cause you to turn into Joe Rogan. You are insane. You are wrong. That's not how this works. I don't know why you don't get it. That is not how this goes. Joe Rogan most likely did HGH, okay?
Where, you know, you'll also by default be at least in your like mid 20s. You know, most people don't start lifting until they're at least, you know, in their mid teens. So, you know, it kind of ticks both of those boxes. And so, yeah, I always encourage people. It's like, have you been training hard and smart for 10 years? If not, then I don't think it's decision time for you yet.
And I'll be honest, there have been several moments in my own bodybuilding career when enhancing has been very tempting. Even now, especially with the fitness standards increasing rapidly and more fitness influencers juicing.
And I think the standards have shifted so much since, you know, we started out like 6 years ago. Like, I was in the natty or not conversation as a physique that's like almost too good, and now six years later, it's like you're the guy who doesn't lift but knows, you know.
But instead of enhancing,
they're right. It is pretty fucking crazy. TikTok made every fucking Zoomer with access to a credit card and like, you know, Amazon get over the counter fucking oral steroids, which is the worst kind of steroid you can take, because like the way your body processes that in comparison to an injection is significantly more dangerous. It is literally the most dangerous type of steroid because you're destroying your organs, okay? Yeah, SARM's goblins, like, what is it, Turkesterone? I don't fucking know. There are probably due to TikTok and the fitfluencers that are just unimaginably yacked on there. There are kids who have definitely shortened their lifespan by like a decade minimum. That's why HRT for trans guys can't be taken orally, because it will literally melt your liver. Yeah. Like, it will kill you. It will fucking kill you. Okay? Are you friends with this guy? Yes, Jeff is the man. I love him.
I've decided to do something different. I keep thinking, maybe I've reached my natural limit for muscle growth. But have I actually? Am I actually at my natty limit? Or have I just not been training as hard and smart as I could be? I wasn't going to reveal this, but this year I'm doing an experiment with McMaster University here in Canada to see how much muscle it's possible for me to build naturally this deep into my lifting journey. If I do everything perfectly, can I still make gains naturally? So for this entire year...
I don't get that. Why wouldn't he be able to? You just have to eat, right? Like, you have to cycle... You just have to bulk and then cut, right? Isn't that how it works? Even at his level? I feel like unless you hit, with his age, obviously, like his T levels, as he showed, are average, which means that like, as long as your T levels are average, the results will be slow. You have to be joking, Hasan. No. As long as your testosterone levels are average, okay, as long as you don't have like, you know, super low testosterone or some shit, like you can always make very modest gains. No, naturally you can only gain 20 to 40 pounds of muscle in a lifetime of lifting. Jeff made a video about this. Wait, really? No, it's how much muscle he's gained. He's in the 0.25 pound per year phase max.
I've been doing everything 100% perfectly in the gym. I'm tracking every single set, taking the last set of every exercise to true technical failure. I'm not skipping any sets or any workouts. I'm also committing 100% to my diet. I haven't missed a single day tracking in macro factor, and I've hit my calorie and protein goal every single day. Now, I'll be sharing my full results at the end of this year, but I can say that I've definitely made some solid gains already. This doesn't always show up as well on camera, but I've gotten more compliments about having put on some solid size at my local gym than I've gotten in years. But similar to me, what happens to a lot of guys is that they think they're at their natty limit and only steroids will help, when in reality, they're probably just not being as diligent with their training and their nutrition as they could be. Why not dial that up to 100% first?
I mean, he's insane.
Then you can make that.
He also has the buff of being like, what is he, like 5'5" or 5'6"? That is like the nattiest buff you can have for looking like that. I swear to God, bro. Fucking someone, that is one aspect of Short Kings. Like, listen, let me tell you, okay? A 5'7" dude enters the gym and just looks in the direction of a bench press and he will have fucking pecs.